Hi, everybody. I'm not going to put this off anymore. A lot of you have asked me to read my journal entries from all the journaling I did the past year and a half over my MLM history. And for those of you who are watching this that don't know what an MLM is, that's an acronym for multi-level marketing. And this started by my doing an interview, which I'm going to put the link for in the description box below, with Savy Writes Books, where she asked me if I wanted to be interviewed when I told her I'd been in 29 different MLMs over a 40-year period. And it's about an hour and 20 minutes where I talk about I've been in actually 19 different companies, but there's a couple I restarted over again, so it's 29 times I've restarted businesses in the multi-level marketing area. And that was last year when I came back to doTERRA, Essential Oil Company, one last time to give it one last big shot trying to build it as a business. I paid the money and went to Utah and did from Texas and went and did leadership. They don't call it leadership, they call it base camp training for emerging leaders, where I realized my history. They gave us this notebook here, which is just paper, and I started writing all these notes, right? And I filled the thing up, and then I started adding. There's like 62 pages here. But what happened was I got to page 21, and I thought, why is it I keep failing with these businesses? I keep starting them, I get excited about them. There's a pattern here that I need to find. So that's what I started doing, was writing out every one of these from the beginning, my experience with it, why I did it, and then why I left. And I started noticing a pattern, which is really interesting. And I realized that I was never going to succeed at a business with an MLM because they're set up that way. Unless you're in the beginning of a company that's just started and you're at the top, then you'll make money for a while. But for those of us that are lower in the scale, very few make substantial income doing the MLMs. And some of you might be watching going, well, gosh, I've got a friend that's doing really well with whatever this, that, or the other. And what I'm going to tell you is, okay, I've done this for 40 years, okay? And I'm an intelligent person, I'm a sane person. And every time I got into these, I had those same thoughts. And some of them I made money, was not enough to pay the bills where I could live off of it. And I was never in at the beginning, where a lot of them, you can do that and make lots of money. They all always told me the same thing, that it was only going to require so many hours a week, and it always was more than that in order to make the big bucks. And when I looked at that, I saw that I could build, in the time I spent on these MLMs, I could have built my own brand, starting my own brand, making my own money, working for myself, and working a lot less time. And I'm not a lazy person. I was in the military for 12 years, and then I homeschooled our autistic son into adulthood. So I know how to work hard. And I was always working hard. So that wasn't the problem. So I'm going to start with the first MLM I joined. And this goes back to 1981, when I was 19 years old. I just turned 20. So it was April. Yeah, it was in April. My birthday's in April. I'm about to turn 59. And 1981, I lived in St. Joseph, Missouri. My older sister had done Creative Circle. And Creative Circle was a huge thing back in the 70s, 80s with stitchery parties. And this is what you'd call direct selling, network marketing, because it's based on party plans. You give a party and you invite friends over and have refreshments, and you sit there and you show them how to do, like for mine, I had a crewel kit, and crewel is taking yarn with a needle and stitching it through this gauze-like material on an imprinted scenery. And that's what we did at the party. We sat and we worked on some crewel projects. And the whole point of it was to get people to buy the projects. Creative Circle had all these cute little kits that had all the yarn that was pre-cut, the needles. And gosh, my older sister, she became what they call a circle leader, which meant she was way up there. And she had those little crewel, when they came with frames too. That was the other thing, was they came with these cute little frames. She had one of those projects she'd worked on in every room in her house. And they had cross stitch, they had needlepoint. What else? I think that was it. And some of them you could make into pillows. I made some into pillows. Anyway, I had just moved, St. Joe, I just moved there in February from California. So I knew, I was engaged. I knew my fiance and his family. And that was all I knew. And I had a job working in a flower shop because that was my training, that I found out was going to be dead end because they didn't think I could do anything because I was young. I didn't have experience. Anyway, so I thought, well, I could get this little side hustle going. And that's the thing, because my sister, she was a stay-at-home mom. She had 4 kids. And so while the kids were at home, she was doing fundraisers for her kids' schools with Creative Circle. But yet, every night, probably 4 or 5 nights a week, she was out doing stitchery parties. Or in the afternoons, or like lunch and learns kind of thing, because she was trying to work it around her kids when her kids were home. But she did really well, although I should ask her this. She didn't make income that would pay her bills if something happened to her husband. She wasn't making enough to pay the bills, because she ended up going back to school and getting her teacher's certificate. She'd already had her bachelor's degree, but she'd go back and get her master's degree. And anyway, she became a teacher because Creative Circle wasn't paying the bills. So there you go. So I had 2 people come to my first one, okay? So here was the thing I said, that my sister had done this for years before teaching, and she was very good at it. In 1981, I started Stitchery Parties. Oh, the Stitchery Parties were going out of popularity. Yeah, it was more of a hobby thing, because I thought it would be fun to get to know people, have them come over in a little party atmosphere. And so my fiance's stepmother came, and I lived with a roommate. She came. And I can't remember if she had a friend come, if her fiance was there or not. And it seems like my fiance's aunt, who I was living with a little while and had just moved out with my roommate, came. Nobody from work came. They were interested because I looked at the book and ordered some things. But as far as the party goes, it was kind of disappointing. And then I kept thinking, gosh, what do I need to do to get this going? And I did realize that it depended on my knowing people and putting myself out there and inviting them to come to events. And it seems like I tried to have another party later. And, I had a friend or 2 from work come. I know what it was. My fiance's stepmom, she had one at her house. That's right. Because, they're your cheerleaders. They have one. It seems like my roommate had one too for me. And she invited all of her friends. That's right. Because there was like 5 people at the one. There was, I want to say 7 at my fiance's mom's. And see, that's the whole point, is you start with the parties You have one, and your friend has one and invites all their people, and then you want those people to start having parties because they get hostess gifts by selling a certain amount of sales at the party, and then they get a hostess gift, a thank you gift for having it, but you have to pay for that. So I made no money off of those parties. It paid for my kit, my demonstration kit. I remember that they did that. It's kind of like what Tupperware used to, I don't know if Tupperware still does that, but they would extend credit for your demo products so you could get your first few parties done, and the money that come in from those parties would pay for your demo kit. Which, I mean, I looked at a lot of those kits. I ended up doing them and putting them on my own walls to have, because this didn't last very long. And by summertime, there was a regional Circle conference, and my Circle leader and one of my fellow representatives, we all made a trek and went to Wichita, Kansas to stay at the university, where they inspired us, and it was fun. And I just didn't see it being anything more than hobby level or side gig, though, because by that point, the whole stitchery thing, not a lot of people were into it like they were earlier. Because I kept thinking to myself, I should probably do this, looking for something else, look for another business model that sells a different product that's not going out. And if you try to Google now Creative Circle, you'll have to put in their Creative Circle Stitchery, and you'll see people on Etsy and eBay are selling their old kits because the company's no longer around. There are Creative Circle companies that are something else. Anyway, so that was that. And by the summertime, I'd gone to that conference, and my Circle leader, she was being really pushy in a way that me and the other rep felt very uncomfortable about. And she kept telling us the company wanted us to do this, this, and this. And the other rep actually went to the company and kind of told on her, because she was like, this leader of ours is telling us we have to do this, this, and this, and this doesn't seem right, because the company's never done this before. And the company said, no, we don't do that. And she actually got in trouble and was removed as our Circle leader because she was lying to us about telling us the company wanted us to do so many parties a week and had to sell all this product, and it was just ridiculous amounts. Well, it was just, of course, to put more money in her pocket. So she got removed, and the representative that had told on her got replaced her. And she was really nice. She tried to refresh the I don't want to say momentum, I guess refresh the interest in doing the parties. But by this time, I just looked at it going, I just need to find another product to sell if I'm going to do a side gig. And I was actually looking at going back to school, going back to college too. And I thought, I don't think I have time for this. So I left that. And that was the end of that one, of Creative Circle. It was just, maybe 6 months. I want to say it was only 4 or 5. Yeah, because after that whole thing in the summer with going to the conference with the Circle leader and her getting replaced, I just, you got leaders that aren't behaving like leaders and they're not being honest. You just you lose your taste for what you're trying to do with the company. And so I left. And it was another 8 months before I looked at another one, which I'll talk about next time because that takes a little bit longer. But I guess the whole point with joining Creative Circle was because my sister did it. And my sister I looked up to back then. She was like my model. And the fact that she could stay at home and make all this money while her kids were at school and she'd still be there when they got home was really appealing to me for later. I'd planned on getting married and having kids, and I thought if I could do something like she did, but then I found out later how little money she really made at it, and that was why she went back to school to become a teacher. So, live and learn on that one. But it started, too. My mother sold Avon when I don't actually remember seeing her sell Avon. I just remember growing up with a lot of Avon in the house that was left from when she sold Avon before she got the job she had when she had me. And my dad had always told me how she'd been an Avon rep earlier on in their marriage, and she was really good at it. So I guess there was that influence as well, that my mother had sold Avon, and then she bought Avon when I was a teenager, and she remarried my stepdad. She had a lady that would come to the house from church to visit, and she was an Avon rep. And she always had a lot of fun things that she would show us, and she was excited about. And that was another thing, is she worked out of the house around her 4 kids and made pretty good money, I guess, for being a stay-at-home mom. But that's the thing, if she had to rely on that income, if something happened to her husband made a lot of money. But if something happened to him, she couldn't live off the money she made from Avon. It's just not a sustainable income. Anyway, I thought it was fun to show the products. She always had holiday things. It came Easter time, it's just been Easter here. There's always these cute little products they have out for Easter. And Creative Circle didn't do that. They did that for Christmas. They had these cute little Christmas, because I remember I did a latch hook kit. It was a towel rack. It was Santa's face with his hat, and then this little ring where you put your hand towel. And it was latch hook. Because in the 70s and 80s, latch hook was a really big thing. I kept that thing for a long time until I finally just donated it. Yeah, so that was another thing that Creative Circle had, was latch hook. Anyway, so that was the end of that. But it was still in the back of my mind about doing a side hustle. It just had to be like, the product just had to be the right thing, because I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in college. I had changed my major. I quit the job that was the dead end, and I was working at Kmart. Okay, working at Kmart as a cashier, and then I was helping my roommate took care of this elderly lady, and stayed at home watching her, and I would do that too, and that's what I was doing. And I needed money, so that's where I'm going to end this. This has gone on, 18 minutes. I know you guys didn't want to hang on that long. Oof. I like to try to make these like 10 minutes. So this is my first one. I'm just going to ask you to give me a break on this one, but I don't want these to go over like this. And I'll do this probably once a week. They're not always going to be MLM, because I don't want to make this all about MLM. You've seen my other videos on my contest speeches, and I don't want it to be about that either. I have a lot of things I want to talk about, like critical thinking and reason and the psychology behind cult mentality, because that's the whole point with this MLM, was the correlation that I drew with doing this journal, was looking at the behavior and the psychology behind it. And that's where I want to come toward the end of it. So this is going to be the one for this week, guys. And just let me know your thoughts in the chat box. Bye. Thanks for watching.